Howdy, y'all. I am back with part 2 of Aschenputtel. We're going to pick right up where we left off. The stepmother had strewn 2 dishes of lentils in the ashes, and Aschenputtel had gathered them all up with the help of her bird friends. And this was no good because the stepmother told her she did not have the clothes, she could not dance, and would put them all to shame. So we resume. Oh, and let me quick tell you, these stories, of course, are not for children. So here we take back up. Then she turned, talking of the stepmother, then she turned back on poor Aschenputtel and made haste to set out with her 2 proud daughters. And as there was no one left in the house, Aschenputtel went to her mother's grave under the hazel bush and cried, little tree, shake over me, that silver and gold may come down and cover me." Then the bird threw down a dress of gold and silver, and a pair of slippers embroidered with silk and silver, and in all haste she put on the dress. She went to the festival, but her stepmother and sisters did not know her, and thought she must be a foreign princess. She looked so beautiful in her golden dress. Of Aschenputtel they never thought at all, and supposed that she was sitting at home and picking the lentils out of the ashes. The king's son came to meet her, and took her by the hand and danced with her, and he refused to stand up with anyone else, so that he might not be obliged to let go of her hand. And when anyone came to him, he answered, "She is my partner." And when the evening came, she wanted to go home. But the prince said he would go home with her to take care of her, for he wanted to see where the beautiful maiden lived. But she escaped him and jumped up into the pigeon house. Then the prince waited until the father came and told him the strange maiden had jumped into the pigeon house. The father thought to himself, "It cannot surely be Aschenputtel." And he called for axes and hatchets and had the pigeon house cut down. But there was no one in it. And when they entered the house, there sat Aschenputtel in her dirty clothes among the cinders, and a little oil lamp burnt dimly in the chimney. For as Aschenputtel had been very quick, and had jumped out of the pigeon house again, and had run to the hazel bush, and there she had taken off her beautiful dress, and had laid it on the grave, and the bird had carried it away again, and then she had put on her little gray kirtle again, and had sat down in the kitchen among the cinders. The next day, when the festival began anew, and the parents and stepsisters had gone to it, Aschenputtel went to the hazel bush and cried, little tree, shake over me, that silver and gold may come down and cover me." Then the bird cast down a still more splendid dress than the one the day before, and she appeared in it among the guests. Everyone was astonished at her beauty. The prince had been waiting until she came, and he took her hand and he danced with her alone. And when anyone else came to invite her, he said, "She is my partner." And when the evening came, she wanted to go home, and the prince followed her, for he wanted to see what house she belonged. But she broke away from him, and she ran into the garden at the back of the house, and there stood a fine large tree bearing splendid pears. She leapt as lightly as a squirrel among the branches, and the prince did not know what had become of her. So he waited until the father came, and then he told him that the strange maiden had rushed from him, and that he thought she had gone up into the pear tree. The father thought to himself, "It cannot surely be Aschenputtel." And he called for an axe, and he felled the tree, but there was no one in it. And when they went into the kitchen, there sat Aschenputtel among the cinders as usual, for she had got down the other side of the tree, and had taken back her beautiful clothes to the bird on the hazel bush, and had put on her old gray dirty kirtle again. On the 3rd day, when the parents and the stepchildren had set off, Aschenputtel went to her mother's grave and said to the little tree, little tree, shake over me, that silver and gold may come down and cover me." Then the bird cast down a dress, the like of which had never been seen for splendor and brilliancy, and slippers that were of pure gold. And when she appeared in this dress at the feast, nobody knew what to say for wonderment. The prince danced with her alone, and if anyone else asked, he answered, "She is my partner." And when it was evening, Aschenputtel wanted to go home, and the prince was about to go with her, when she ran past him so quickly that he could not follow her. But he had laid a plan, and had caused all the steps to be spread with pitch, so that as she rushed down them, the left shoe of the maiden remained sticking in it. The prince picked it up, and saw that it was of gold, and very small and slender. The next morning he went to the father, and told him that none should be his bride save the one whose foot the golden shoe fit. Then the two sisters were very glad, because they had pretty feet. The eldest went to her room to try on the shoe, and her mother stood by, but she could not get her great toe into it, for the shoe was too small. Then her mother handed her the knife and said, "Cut the toe off, for when you are queen you will never have to go on foot." So the girl cut off her toe, squeezed her foot into the shoe, concealed the pain, and went down to the prince. Then he took her with him on his horse as his bride, and rode off. They had to pass by the grave, and there sat the two pigeons on the hazel bush, and they cried, "There they go, there they go. There is blood on her shoe. The shoe is too small. Not the right bride at all." Then the prince looked at her shoe, and he saw the blood flowing, and he turned his horse around, and he took the false bride home again, saying she was not the right one, and that the other sister must try on the shoe. So she went into her room to do so, and she got her toes comfortably in, but her heel was too large. Excuse me. But her heel was too large. Then the mother handed her the knife. "Cut a piece of your heel off. When you are queen, you will never have to go on foot." So the girl cut a piece off of her heel, and she thrust her foot into the shoe, concealed the pain, and went down to the prince, who took his bride before him on his horse and rode off. When they passed by the hazel bush, the two pigeons sat there and cried, "There they go, there they go. There is blood on her shoe. The shoe is too small. Not the right bride at all." Then the prince looked down at her foot, and he saw how the blood was flowing from the shoe and staining the white stocking. And he turned his horse around, and he brought the false bride home again. "This is not the right one," said he. "Have you no other daughter?" "No," said the man, "only my dead wife left behind her little stunted Aschenputtel. It is impossible that she could be the bride." But the king's son ordered her to be sent for. But the mother said, "Oh no, she is much too dirty. I could not let her be seen." But he would have her fetched. And so Aschenputtel had to appear. First she washed her face and hands quite clean, and went in and curtsied to the prince, who held out to her the golden shoe. Then she sat down on a stool, drew her foot out of her heavy wooden shoe, and slipped it into the golden one, which fitted it perfectly. And when she stood up and the prince looked in her face, he knew again the beautiful maiden that had danced with him, and he cried, "This is the right bride." The stepmother and the two sisters were thunderstruck and grew pale with anger. But he put Aschenputtel before him on his horse and rode off. And as they passed the hazel bush, the two white pigeons cried, "There they go, there they go. No blood on her shoe, the shoe's not too small. The right bride is she after all. And when they had thus cried, they came flying after, and perched on Aschenputtel's shoulders, one on the right and one on the left, and so remained there. And when her wedding with the prince was appointed to be held, the false sisters came, hoping to curry favor and to take part in the festivities. So as the bridal procession went to the church, the elder walked on the right side and the younger walked on the left. And the pigeons pecked out an eye of each of them. And as they returned, the elder sister was on the left and the younger was on the right. And the pigeons pecked out the other eye of each of them. And so they were condemned to go blind for the rest of their days because of their wickedness and falsehood. That is the end. Certainly not your Disney Cinderella, that's for sure. Lot to unpack here, and I'll do that in a discussion on Aschenputtel in my next video. So, thanks for joining me and Marina. Y'all be sweet.